Pharaoh Amenemhat in the quiet night. The sky over Thebes was slowly turning the deep purple of a ripe fig. The sun, the great god Ra upon his bark of millions of years, had nearly finished his journey across the firmament, preparing to descend into the underworld to bestow light upon the departed. On the sandstone balcony of the royal palace, Pharaoh Amenemhat IV, known as the Heart of Amen, quietly watched the magnificent transition from day to night. He was not a pharaoh of bloody conquests or of grand constructions meant to display his power. Amenemhat's reign was one of peace, of bountiful harvests, and of harmony. He believed that the true strength of a king lay not in the number of enemies slain, but in the peaceful sleep of every subject. A gentle breeze wafted from the Nile River, carrying the faint scent of lotus flowers blooming in the royal gardens and the smell of damp, fertile mud. The wind caressed the hem of his pristine white linen robe, gently stirring his meticulously braided locks. The pharaoh took a deep breath, feeling the tranquility that was gradually enveloping the kingdom. In the distance, the last of the farmers were herding their livestock into their pens. The sounds of laughter and chatter, the calling to one another, had faded, giving way to the chirping of insects and the sound of a shepherd's flute echoing from the other side of the river, its simple yet poignant melody dissolving into the vast space. Amenemhat did not feel weary after a long day of reviewing papyrus scrolls, listening to officials report on the state of the dikes, or settling the minor disputes of the people. Instead, he felt a profound peace. Every decision he made was aimed toward Ma'at, balance, truth, and order of the universe. And as night fell, he could feel Ma'at's presence, as clear as the stars that were beginning to sparkle in the sky. "Your Majesty," a deep, warm voice spoke from behind him. It was Seneb, the old vizier who had served since the time of the previous pharaoh, a man with hair as white as flax and kind eyes that held the wisdom of decades. Amenemhat turned, a faint smile on his lips. "Seneb, my friend, come and admire with me the beauty of Thebes as the city prepares to fall asleep." Seneb slowly approached, standing beside the pharaoh. They stood in silence for a moment, sharing an understanding that needed no words. "You seem content, Your Majesty," Seneb observed. "The river is gentle. The stars have taken their rightful places. The gods are smiling upon us." "Indeed," Amenemhat replied, his voice low, blending with the quiet of the dusk. "I find contentment in knowing that beneath those roofs, families are gathering for their evening meal, children are being told stories, and the elderly are resting peacefully. Their peace is the very strength of Egypt." He gestured toward the Nile River, shimmering in the last light of day. "Look there, Seneb. That great river has nourished us for countless generations. It rises and falls, following an eternal law. It brings the fertile silt, then flows quietly out to the great sea. We, the pharaohs, are but temporary keepers of the kingdom's flow. Our duty is to ensure it remains ever gentle, ever abundant, just like the river itself." Seneb nodded, his aged eyes glowing with respect. The young king before him possessed a soul far older than his years. He did not seek immortality through colossal pyramids, but through the sustainable prosperity of his people. As the last stars became clearly visible against the velvet black sky, Amenemhat turned and went inside. His chamber was large, but not overly extravagant. The walls were adorned with exquisite frescoes depicting the stories of the gods, of creation, and of the cycle of life. The air in the room was fragrant with the scent of incense and myrrh, an aroma that helped to purify the mind. Maidens entered silently, helping him remove the royal jewelry and ceremonial attire. Each item, from the Usek collar of gold and lapis lazuli to the finely crafted leather sandals, was carefully placed back in its chest. He kept on only a soft robe of the purest white linen. The pharaoh's evening meal was simple. There were only a few sweet dates, some slices of barley bread with honey, a small bowl of fresh figs, and a cup of warm goat's milk. He ate alone in the quiet, allowing his mind to rest completely. Beside him, his pet cat, Miu, with her jet black fur and amber eyes, was curled up asleep, her steady purr the only sound in the vast room. After his meal, instead of summoning dancers or musicians as many other kings might, Amenemhat preferred to stroll in the inner palace garden. This was his private world, an oasis of serenity in the heart of the bustling palace. The garden was designed around a rectangular pool, its surface as still as a mirror, reflecting the silver moon and the twinkling stars. Surrounding the pool were tall date palms and sycamore trees, their leaves rustling in the night breeze like ancient whispers. White and blue lotus blossoms floated on the water's surface, releasing a sweet, pure fragrance. Amenemhat walked barefoot on the cool stone slabs. He paused by the pool, gazing at his reflection in the water. It was not the image of a powerful pharaoh, but simply a man in a white robe, standing alone under the immense, starry sky. He thought of his father, his grandfather, and all the pharaohs who had come before him. They had once stood here, under these same stars, felt this same breeze, and carried the weight of the two lands upon their shoulders. That weight was sometimes immense, but in moments like this, it felt light. It was not a shackle, but a thread connecting him to his ancestors and to the gods. A small fish leaped from the water, creating ripples that shattered his reflection, which then slowly reformed. Amenemhat smiled. Life was like that. There were always small disturbances, but balance would eventually return. Matt always prevailed. He sat on a long stone bench, placed near a jasmine bush that was releasing its heady fragrance. The cat, Miu, having woken at some point, leaped gently into his lap, curled up, and resumed her sleep. Amenemhat softly stroked her silky fur, feeling the warmth and the absolute trust of the small creature. The sound of trickling water came from a small channel that led water from the pool to irrigate the flower beds. Crickets chirped in the bushes. In the distance, the horn of a guard on the city walls sounded, signaling the start of a new watch. Every sound was familiar, a part of the night's gentle symphony. Amenemhat's mind began to drift. He no longer thought of decrees or the numbers in harvest reports. He thought of the flow of time. He pictured himself as a grain of sand in the vast desert, a drop of water in the great Nile, a single star among the countless stars in the sky. His own smallness did not frighten him. On the contrary, it brought a sense of freedom and serenity. He was merely part of something larger, more eternal. As the night dew began to cool the air, Amenemhat picked up the still sleeping Miu and returned to his bedchamber. His bed was made of fragrant cedar wood, with a mattress stuffed with feathers and covered in smooth, cool linen. The room was lit by only a small oil lamp, its warm, golden light dancing on the wall. He placed Miu on the pillow beside him. The cat stirred only slightly before sinking back into a deep sleep. The pharaoh lay down, pulling the thin blanket up to his chest. He lay on his back, his hands resting lightly on his stomach, and began to breathe slowly. Breathing in, he felt the cool night air fill his chest, carrying with it the peace of the kingdom. Breathing out, he released all lingering thoughts, letting them dissolve into the darkness. Breathing in, he thought of the seeds sprouting in the fertile soil. Breathing out, he thought of the stars making their eternal journey across the sky. His body gradually grew heavier, sinking deep into the soft mattress. His eyelids drooped. The sounds of the night had now become a gentle lullaby. The rustling of the wind outside the window, the steady purr of Nile, and somewhere in his subconscious, the eternal flow of the Nile, the river of life and eternity. The pharaoh, who held the fate of millions in his hands, was now just like the poorest farmer in his kingdom, embraced by the gentle night, protected by the gods. He did not dream of power or war. He dreamt of a golden field of barley stretching to the horizon, of laughing children playing by the riverbank, of a world where Mat reigned supreme. Before falling completely asleep, one final thought drifted through Amenemhat's mind. It was not a command or a plan. It was just a feeling of profound gratitude. Gratitude for this silence, gratitude for life, gratitude for the sleep that was coming, as gentle as a feather from the goddess Mat falling. And then, the entire palace fell silent. The entire city of Thebes fell silent. The entire vast kingdom of Egypt, under the rule of its gentle king, was sound asleep beneath the starry sky, enveloped in the arms of the great river and guarded by peace. Their sleep was also the pharaoh's sleep, a deep, dreamless, and peaceful slumber until the god Ra would begin his new journey on his solar bark at the dawn of the next day.